let's explore the answer to this question. How can I improve accountability by defining job roles? And so we're really going to be talking about assigning specific processes to a job role, that is the role that a person plays within the organization, whether that's in finance or marketing or staffing, human resources, or as a teacher, someone working within the academic program. So how can we improve accountability by defining job roles? Why would we want to do that at all? Well, this increases accountability, as you might imagine. It also reduces ambiguity. So if someone is not clear as to how they fit into the organization or exactly how their job role is contributing to the success and mission of the school, then that will be made much clearer through this defining of job roles by processes. So this also simplifies management, leading to higher job satisfaction, because people know what they're supposed to do, how they're going to be evaluated, and it reduces ambiguity, uncertainty, also reduces the amount of time it takes to do things like job performance appraisals and also even ongoing management meetings. So higher job satisfaction. Okay, so there are quite a number of benefits to this approach of defining job roles by process. Let's take a step through a sample and show you how this could work and how we can improve accountability. So let's say that we want to define the role of marketing director. This might also be called marketing coordinator, or in some schools this could be combined with the admissions director. But I'm making a distinction that these are marketing tasks which are designed to lead to an application, and in some contexts this would be the end of the marketing director's job, and then the admissions director would take over. But I'm talking about the marketing function or the marketing role within the organization, and this role could be held by the admissions director, but I'm going to be defining a role, not an individual person's entire job. Okay, so let's look at this marketing role. What would be ways that we could define this role? Well, clearly the worst way is to have no role description whatsoever. This is the worst. Like, okay, you're the marketing coordinator, so get busy marketing, help market our school, and we're looking forward to seeing what you have. That's not the best. Well, in fact, we could call it the worst. Okay, let's move to a slightly more sophisticated approach. Let's call this the high-level role description. Well, maybe we say something like this, quote, "You're responsible for marketing our school and encouraging new families to apply." Well, this is almost the same as the title, Marketing Our School, but it does focus on what the outcome is. You're encouraging new families to apply, so presumably the more families that are applying, the better you're doing your job. But it's still very high level, and it's really not much more than the job title itself. So poor, not a good solution. Well, let's move to even what I'll call a medium level role description. This is getting better. This says you're responsible for developing and implementing the annual marketing, should be an ing there, developing and implementing the annual marketing plan, including social media, the external community newsletter, advertising, public relations, and admissions events. So now I'm beginning to understand exactly what it is I'm supposed to do. And here's a list. I could even begin to make a list of each thing that I'm doing, and I'd have a calendar, and I'd make sure that I'm fulfilling each of these responsibilities as the marketing director for the school. So this is getting better, but this is still quite a bit away from best. Let's look at an example of a really solid process-based description. So I'll get rid of these and we'll introduce this. This is the best way to define a role within the organization, and that is by the processes that this role will be responsible for. So you're responsible for the processes listed below at our school. As such, you manage the preparation, execution, and refinement of these processes. So that will be important, that not only are you doing these things, are you preparing to do them, then doing them, but you're also responsible for refining them and making sure that we're improving them on a continuous basis. So this brings us back to the word Kaizen, one of the lean principles of continuous improvement. So not only do we want to do them efficiently and leanly, without any waste, but we want to continuously improve them. So let's look at this list of processes. Now, we don't have a detailed description of each process. Presumably, this would be in a separate document, and here's some sample document ID numbers where we would actually have details anywhere from 1 to multiple pages on how to do each of these. But here's what the marketing director should be doing: conducting campus tours, conducting information meetings, performing follow-up tasks, revising admission materials. This might be with the admissions director, or if it's the same person, then they would just be assuming this role as part of that process. Setting up and collecting event responses, attending external marketing events, marketing plan development, updating the website, external lists and calendars, press releases, search engine optimization, blog content, creating promotional videos. So this is effectively a list that expands on what this does, but contrasting this and this, here we just have broad categories. Here we have very specific verb phrases that tell exactly what should be done. And we also have a reference to a specific document that's a process guide or a how-to guide that details how we're going to do this at our school. If this document doesn't exist, then this person is free to create that document or expand it or refine it as needed. So we have a monthly marketing newsletter, online ads, possibly promotional specialty items, and using social media. So we have a detailed list of what this person should be doing. And some of these processes may be more checklist oriented, where they're very specific and regimented. Others may have more of a general description of what needs to be done and then some criteria for success. So these can be very granular or less granular depending on the level of skill or the sophistication required to perform each of these tasks. So you can choose your level of granularity in terms of defining all of these processes for this role, but it's important that they be explicitly defined. Now let's continue on down and look at the bottom part of this role definition, which can form part of a job description. Job description would have some other things in terms of your policies related to sick time and personal days off and things like this, but this would be a core component of an overall job description, namely defining the role by process. So let's look at some other specific language that can be helpful. So refinement of these processes, which we just referred to above, will be included as part of your annual objectives and will be discussed during your regularly scheduled meeting. So this speaks to another process, namely STO 6, how to conduct a position meeting with a direct report. So on a periodic basis, this person who's in this role would meet with their supervisor, and then they would go through yet another process, which would be what we could call a position meeting or a role meeting, and they could review any challenges that they've been having in performing these processes, or processes that are missing, or processes that need to be refined, effectively troubleshooting their job related to these processes. And then the exciting part is that any new information related to how we can do these better or how we should do it next year, those get inserted into each of these processes, and they're documented so that when it comes time next year to do them again, we're learning from that experience. Again, Kaizen, continuous improvement. Now, refinement of these processes may include the following: defining new steps if something was left out, removing ambiguity. It's very easy and inexpensive just to write a few more sentences explaining a particular step. That comes at a very low cost, but it could save minutes or hours for the next person who's following this process. Recording lessons learned. There can be a section in each of these processes about things that we've tried or things that we want to try. There could even be ideas for the future. In each of these could contain ideas for what you might like to try. If you have an idea for a promotional video, then why not store that at the bottom of this process, how to script and produce a promotional video. You could have an ideas for the future section, and then list your ideas for future videos, and they'll all be in one common document. And then, as a sort of a meta process, you can even have a separate process for how to develop a process guide for a new topic. So if there's something that's been left out of this role, or if this role expands, or we discover we're missing a process, or we want to add something new, then you can actually also have a separate process for how to develop a new process, and the template to use and the information that would need to be contained within each one of these documents. So we've stepped through how we can define a role by a process, and there's a number of advantages to that. It removes ambiguity. It increases job satisfaction because there's a renewed clarity about what it is someone's working on, and it also allows this Kaizen, this continuous improvement, to be quite directly implemented because each of these processes can be improved, tweaked, refined over time. So tremendous benefits to defining each role by its corresponding processes.